James Turner for the untouchable true school sports. Let's go, baby. Bow.
Be careful what you wish for because it can become a reality.
Yeah. The untouchable true school sports empire, and y'all know the rest, man. Now listen, it's been a busy week of boxing. You know, we had the Golden Boy card with Oscar Duarte last night. We had Catterall and Barbosa in England, but really and truthfully, the fight that got the least fanfare as far as like the mainstream boxing media is actually the fight that I was actually most interested in, and that was the fight between Greg Hackett. You know, I'm a big Greg Hackett fan. Greg Hackett, journeyman in boxing, definitely known for his insights and comments on boxing. Has trained a lot of fighters in Philadelphia. He's a staple of the Philadelphia boxing scene. You can't even talk about boxing in Philadelphia these days without mentioning Greg Hackett, right? And he's a friend of the program. I love Greg, and I was a Greg Hackett fan before, you know, he even started getting interviewed by YSN Sports Media. So shout out to Greg. He was taking on the father of the WBO welterweight champion, Brian Norman Jr., and he took on Brian Norman Sr. So they had a dispute because there was a lot of talking going on during the whole like Boots, Brian Norman Jr. broken negotiations. And look, I gotta give both these guys credit. They went in there and they settled it as men. They fought in a real sanctioned 6-rounder, and the result of the fight was was Brian Norman Sr. coming out on top. He wins a decision. IUD. Two judges scored it 58-56, so 4 rounds to 2 for Brian Norman Sr. One judge had it a wide and ridiculous 60-54, 6-0 shutout for Brian Norman Sr. So I'm gonna come get my take on the fight, but before I do, respect to both men. Respect to Greg Hackett for getting in the ring as he always does. Greg's not that big and he's literally fought heavyweight, so Greg don't care. He just likes to rumble. And then Senior, you know, he's someone that most people are just now finding out about him being someone that runs his mouth on behalf of his son. But no, he was like a legit fighter. Like, he actually contributed to boxing. Like, he fought Dominic Wade. He fought Jean Pascal. He's been in there with some names, you know, 17-11, I believe was his record. So, you know, he can talk. You know, he's been in the ring. But as far as the fight itself, I thought it was a very sloppy fight from both men, honestly. I feel like, you know, I had it a draw. My personal scorecard was I thought it was a draw. I felt like there were a lot of rounds where most of the rounds, like, nobody was really imposing what they wanted to do on the fight. And I could see what both guys were trying to do. Like, Greg Hackett, I think, was the faster fighter on his feet. I think Greg had more speed as far as his feet. So he was trying to keep the fight at mid-range, use his legs, box, and ultimately set up Brian Norman Sr. for either the straight right hand or the overhand right. He likes those punches, right? And Senior is the physically stronger guy, so he was just trying to maul Greg. And what happened is, watching the fight, I feel like Senior mauled Greg enough in those first 2 rounds to inevitably tire out Greg. So then Greg, whenever he could close the gap, he would start holding a Senior. So it just created for a lot of unclear rounds, sloppy rounds. I had it a draw. I just think there were some rounds where Greg was shooting that little jab to the stomach. Sometimes he would land the right hand, and then there were rounds where I think Senior would maul Greg and push him back, and sometimes land a nice little stiff jab of his own. So to me, there wasn't really a clear winner, and I just think that, you know, I'm not mad at the 58, 56 scorecards, but I think a draw was the fair thing to do because neither one of these guys really imposed himself on the fight. But I give them their due. They went in there and they definitely settled their dispute. I mean, if they do a rematch, I think it should be an 8-rounder, just so there's a bigger chance that there could be a clear winner. I think, like, Senior, this is his first fight in like 14 years. He had been out the ring for 14 years. So you got to give Brian Norman Sr. a lot of credit. You know, he's 45 now, so that's, like, do the math. He ain't fought since he was 31. So it takes a lot to be, you know, damn near 50, you know, going into your, you know, mid to late 40s and then come back and get yourself into shape and prepare for a 6th-round fight. I don't think people know how hard it is to even like if you've never really been in boxing shape, I don't even think people know how hard it is to even just get through 3 or 4 rounds of sparring if you're not in boxing shape, because there's being in shape and there's being in boxing shape. So the fact that he was able to do that after 14 years and then go 6 rounds with a guy like Greg Hackett, who still fights actively to this day, it shows you, the kind of man he is. So respect to Brian Norman Sr. I thought it was a draw though, and I think because this all stemmed from like Boots versus Brian Norman Jr. And I feel like if you watch this fight, you can kind of get an idea into the philosophies of Brian Norman Jr. and Boots. Philadelphia fighters, they like to, traditionally speaking, unless we're talking about Joe Frazier or like a Bernard Hopkins, most of the time, Philadelphia fighters are not inside fighters. They like to keep you at mid-range. They normally have a lot of speed. They love to counterpunch. They love to fight from the outside. And yeah, that's kind of what we saw from Greg Hackett. And then as far as the Normans, Senior, he was the physically stronger guy, so he used that to win these rounds against Greg Hackett. And I feel like if Junior were to fight Boots, that's gonna be one of the things he uses to try to beat Boots is his physical strength, because I think he might have an advantage there. Boots is the better athlete. I think Boots is the better athlete as far as like speed and slickness and those kind of things. But Brian Norman Jr., I think, is the more physically strong guy, and he's very explosive in his own right, and he can hurt you. So Brian Norman Jr. was there. He was cornering his dad, and he did say that if he gets to his next fight with Derek Cuevas on March 29th in Vegas, if he gets to his fight and then Boots beats Stanionis, then they'll go ahead and look to do their unification fight, which a lot of boxing fans are excited about. So hopefully that can happen, because it's a fight I think that the welterweight division desperately needs. But once again, shout out to Greg Hackett. I feel like Greg Hackett was screwed with that one scorecard that was 60-54. I thought it was a draw. I don't even think there should have been a winner. I think they're both winners for getting in the ring, but I think as far as on paper, I don't think there should have been a winner. I just don't think anybody really imposed what they were trying to do enough on the fight for long of enough time to give it to somebody. I do think that you could say there was a little bit of home cooking, but hey, it is what it is. It's part of the game. It's part of the sport. They got in the ring. They settled it, so you got to respect both of them. But yeah, shout out to Greg Hackett. Make sure you guys go subscribe to him. Brian Norman Sr., make sure you guys go check out everything he's doing, and definitely go support Brian Norman Jr. in his upcoming fight, and hopefully we get big fights in the welterweight division with Boots and Brian Norman Jr. And shout out to Philadelphia and Atlanta, two cities that have produced some really terrific fighters over the years. So that being said, let me know what you guys think. If you guys had a chance to watch the fight, what did you score? Did you agree with the decision? Do you think Greg was screwed? Do you think Senior deserved the win, or do you agree with me? Do you think it was a draw? Because if there was ever a fight that was a draw, I think it was this one. There was just too much. Neither one of these guys imposed themselves on the fight long enough to win, but they both had some good things they were doing here and there. I just think that they both left it too unclear. So yeah, a draw would have been fine. But leave your comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this, make sure you guys click right over here.
Keep watching my boy BT put on the best interviews out here.